he didn't have a car. Like, all I wanted to do was like sit there and cry. Like, contractions are no joke, you guys. No joke. Like, hey. So the main road to take down to get to the hospital was closed. I'm gonna give birth alone here, and you're about to have this baby. And I was like, what? So we get into the room and I was like, I want the epidural. Doctor pops the water and oh, I was nuts, guys. I saw some meconium in the fluid. It was the most magical thing ever. And Brayden was born and he was... Hello, you guys, and welcome to my labor and delivery story. I wanted to say vlog because I totally planned to vlog the whole thing, but it was a little intense, you guys. Brayden came pretty quickly, so I didn't get much, but I will walk you guys through what did happen and I will show you guys footage that I did get. So again, welcome to my labor and delivery story. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Blake. I am a stay-at-home mother of now 2. Let's get into the story. I'm not quite sure how long this is gonna be. I typically do footnotes to make sure I don't miss anything, and I did none of that, so I might ramble on a little bit. I'll do my best not to. All right, jumping into the story. It was December 2nd, and a little backstory. We have 2 cars for Ramsey. He has his truck, and then we bought a commuter car for him to drive up to work. Well, that car had been acting up a bit, so we had taken it into the shop, I think like 2 weeks before Brayden came, and then 2 weeks but later, which was December 1st, it started acting up again. So, or maybe it was November 30th. Regardless, we made the decision on December 2nd, so I was due on November 29th, and Brayden still hadn't come yet, so I was like, you know what? I show no signs of early labor. Let's bring your car to the Toyota dealership instead of a mechanic. Since we're kind of new to the area, we don't really have a mechanic that we like know and trust fully. We did originally bring it to one mechanic and he fixed it. So we just decided, let's just bring it to Toyota. There's one up by his work. So we dropped it off on December 1st. That's what it was. And they had to order a part and it wouldn't be ready until December 2nd at like 5 or so p.m., which was perfect because that's what time he gets off of work. Well, like I said, the 29th was my due date, and I literally, except for, all right, you guys, heads up, a little TMI, throughout this thing, it's a labor and delivery vlog, so you're gonna have some verbiage that you might not want to hear, but that's what this vlog is for. So the only thing that I had shown for signs of labor was I lost my mucus plug. That was it. I didn't lose it with Briley when I went into labor because I was induced 4 days early, so I didn't have any labor signs with her. So that was the only thing that had happened with Brayden, but it had happened on like the 26th, I think it was. So, you know, you can lose it weeks before and it can grow back, I've heard. And so that wasn't really like a super big sign. I had been to the doctor. I was like 1 centimeter dilated. My cervix was extremely soft, and my doctor said she would be surprised if I didn't go into labor like within the next couple of days. And that was, guys, I really should have written this down. Okay, so you know what? It was the 23rd or the 24th. Let's just leave it at that. It doesn't really matter to you guys. It's just in my head that I feel like I have to know. Regardless, it was one of those days, and I had seen the doctor the day before, and she did a sweep of my membranes, and then the next day I had lost it. So I believe it's the 23rd, lost it on the 24th or 25th, and so she said she'd be shocked if I went to the 3rd, which was actually scheduled induction if I didn't go into labor on my own. So the only reason we scheduled that was because I was due on the 29th, and that was just the day that my doctor is the doctor that is on call in the hospital. And they didn't want me to really go past 1 week past my due date. They allowed me to. She said, no problem, you can go past your due date, but you're gonna have to come in like daily for a doctor's appointment. I didn't really want to do that. I just said, you know, that's fine at that point. Like, I'll go in for the induction. I did it with Briley. It was fine. Like, we'll make do. We actually had a ton of family in all for Thanksgiving that week, and so we were so like hoping he came so that they could all see him, because again, we are up here in Idaho and a lot of our friends and family are down in Southern California, so a lot of them would have liked to have been here for it, you know? So, you know, Thanksgiving comes and goes. I do so much walking. And the Black Friday, my mom and her husband were up here, and they were gonna be here for 7 days. So they're gonna be here for a week. And so they show up on the 27th, they're here the 28th, 29th, 30th. Every night my mom and I are going walking. That Monday the 30th, I did like my final deep clean of the house. My mom was here, so she was able to watch Briley with me. And I just did my final deep clean of the house. So Monday the 30th, I was like, all right, I have one more day. Because of my induction, I had to go in for some testing 2 days before to make sure I was negative, if you know what I mean. Went in for that testing on Tuesday. The induction was scheduled for Thursday. And like I had said earlier about the whole car situation, we dropped off the car on Tuesday and we were supposed to pick it up Wednesday the 2nd. And so basically he got a ride home Tuesday from, so he works, his dad owns the company that he works for. So he got a ride home from either his dad or his sister. They both work there. And that next morning, I actually drove him out to work. I didn't mind, I wanted to drive him. My mom and her husband were here, so they were able to get Briley up when she woke up if I wasn't back in time. So it was kind of nice to just me and him, little morning date. So I drove him to work the morning of December 2nd, 2020. I know, I'm a little behind in my vlogs. I drop him off, I say goodbye, and I'm just driving home calmly, like, no big deal. And I did turn on my Christmas music. I specifically remember all of a sudden I get this feeling, and it was my first contraction of labor, essentially. It was about 6:30 in the morning, and I texted Ramsey, which I had already texted him before because I had got some like severe Braxton Hicks, which they were just tightening, not painful at all. Just my belly got so tight, and it was only when I would walk around a lot, and they would be consistent, but like, again, zero pain. And if I stopped walking, they would really go away. So I was just sitting in the car at this point, and I called Ramsey because he was still the only person at work because we had dropped him off so early. And I said, hey, heads up, I just had a contraction. And he goes, like a real one? Because I said that before, and then I'm like, nah, I went away, whatever, it was nothing. And so he's like a real one? And I was like, yes, like it felt different, babe. Like, so again, I didn't go into labor with Briley. I had contractions because I was induced. And so it's weird, like you kind of don't remember the feeling of a contraction, you know, you remember the pain, but not really the pain. And so like, it's really hard to judge like, oh, that was it. And so like, I understand why so many moms go into the hospital thinking they're in pre-labor because they're, I don't know, like you only do this so many times in your life, you know? Anyways, so I call him, I'm like, hey babe, guess what? Just had it. And he's like, okay, well, keep me posted. And he totally didn't believe me. But again, he, you know, we talked throughout the day, so he believed me if it kept going, and he, you know, he would have come home, but it was just kind of like, you've cried wolf before, lady. So we're driving, and then I missed the exit to get off because I'm just rocking out to Christmas music, and I'm just like relaxed because the house is clean. Everyone, all the things, all the ducks were literally in a row. Like my mom was here with Jim. It was Briley had someone to watch, although my mother-in-law was originally gonna watch her if I went into labor, because she's always available to watch her. So that wasn't stressing me out by any means, but it was just kind of like one of those days where I had just planned to have a relaxing day, and that's when he decided to come. So I get home and I'm like, you know what? If this is labor, if this is a contraction, like I had just showered and washed my hair, and I was like, I'm gonna do my hair. So went in, I just got a new Kristen S curling iron. We did my hair, as you can see here. I got a picture and everything. Sent that to Ramsey, and I was just like letting him know, like, hey, heads up, like, I'm ready to go when you are, you know, just joking around. And so that was about 7-ish, and then Briley wakes up around 7:30, and you guys, from then on, it was go time. And I did get a lot of that footage. As you can see, little Briley is sitting with me and eating my bagel with me. I thought, again, if this was labor, the last thing I wanted at this point was food. I was not hungry at all, but I knew if this was labor, like, I needed some food in me, because once I get that epidural, I'm not gonna be able to eat. And I remember being so hungry when I got induced with Briley. And so that was the plan. I didn't have any, I knew I wanted the epidural because I remember with Briley, like I got to 5 centimeters, I think it was. And The contractions were so painful and I was just so miserable and I was not progressing. And I just remember the second I got that epidural, like my mind was like, thank you. So I could not wait to get the epidural because I really got to enjoy Briley's birth, like pushing and everything. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm pushing you guys. Like it totally worked for me. I know it doesn't for some people. So about 9 o'clock, I start texting Ramsey like, hey, things are picking up, just letting you know, keeping you updated. I screenshot a lot of this for you guys, so I'll be putting like, you know, conversation on the screen here so you can read it as we go. And I just start texting him. It's funny reading back the text messages, like I was not listening to him. I kept saying like, did they get the part in? Can you get home? So I don't know if I explained this, but when I dropped him off at work, he didn't have a car. So his car's in the shop. He's about 30-45 minutes north, and then our hospital is about 30 minutes south of us. So that's like a big difference. And so I'm like texting him like, did they get the part in? And he's like, no, like what part of they're not getting it until this afternoon? Do you not understand? And so I'm just like, okay, no big deal. So like, I'm trying to be super calm about it, but contractions are getting stronger and stronger. I think at this point they were about like 2.5 to 4.5 minutes apart. I know 2 minutes is the deal and 1 minute long is the deal, but they were only anywhere from 30 seconds to 50 seconds. So they weren't super consistent in time or in length. But I still kept tracking them. So I'm texting Ramsey, I'm still asking about his car, and I'm saying like, you know, hey, we need like a plan B just in case, because I don't know what's gonna go on. Like I can't drive all the way up there, then come back there and deal with contractions and all those things. And he's like, what do you mean? Like I already told you, which he did on the phone. Like I could borrow my dad's or my sister's car if I need and they can figure it out later. But I don't know why that didn't click in my head. I don't know. And I just remember my emotions were totally in a whack. Like all I wanted to do was like sit there and cry, like tears of happiness. Like I was just excited and like nervous, obviously, who isn't? You're about to push a baby out. So like I just wanted to squeeze Briley and hug her. So like it was so sweet when she kept running up to me and to the camera.
What's your mom? Okay. You look so beautiful. You may have a kiss. Oh. She matches mom. You do. You did? And I heard you count to 2? Oh my gosh, that was so cute. I did the 1. She goes 2. I just gotta stand up, honey. I'm so sorry. Come here. Over here. Oh, look at this. Yeah. And you got your telephone. And this. Okay. Want some water? Can you say 2? One. 2. Can you, and then do you go 3? Not yet. 1 and 2 are really good though. We have some good length yet?
Still the same.
You did the well, I was asking this kid.
You're stronger.
Yeah, you're doing the position that you did at the hospital when I saw you. Like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just feels good to
Yeah.
do it. It makes it go away.
Yeah. Where's Grandpa? Where's Grandpa? Grandma, get that.
And just set him down.
Right here. What is that? Is that on? How did this one?
I wanted to love her on her more, but you know, contractions are no joke, you guys. No joke. Like, if you've never had one, it feels like the most intense period pain that you'll ever have. And things just feel like they're gonna like rip and fall out, and it's intense. Watching back on my contractions, I was like, why didn't I go sooner? Like, I feel like I should have gone sooner. But I was so scared, you guys. Okay, I was so scared that when I got induced with Briley, I was in such painful contractions. I was like, oh, for sure, these are worse. It's, you know, it's gonna be time to, I'm gonna go in and they're gonna be like, you're 3 centimeters dilated, you wimp. Like, I was so nervous. So I didn't wanna call it for Ramsey, which you'll kind of see in these like text messages between us. Like, I didn't really want to call it for him to come home from work, because I'm like, if I'm like crying wolf and you took off of work for that, like, I know, you guys, better safe than sorry, but I don't know, I couldn't say like, come home now, I need it. So yeah, it was very hard for me to make the decision for him to come home from work and just like go to the hospital, because I was convincing myself I was like 3 centimeters dilated and just not able to handle it. So I'm texting him, and then I finally hit a point where I'm like, these are getting intense, and I was like, babe, I'd think about coming home soon. Like, if I were you, like, wrap up what you're doing, let's just go get checked out. You know, I need to. So after I sent that text, I kind of like laid on the couch, which is kind of what I was doing. I wasn't doing much to like activate my labor, because I wasn't in any rush. You know, if I could wait for Ramsey to get home, sure, why not? You know, I don't know why, guys. That's just what was in my head. I wanted to relax. I wanted to lay down, and Briley was jumping all around me. My mom was doing such a great job in just keeping her entertained, going outside, going inside, all the things, and just kind of let me be on the couch alone. So that was super sweet of her. And so I'm just laying on the couch, and Ramsey's kind of I'm dozing in and out and trying to get some sleep, because again, I know labor is going to be a lot, and I'm not going to be able to sleep much once the baby's here, like everyone tells you. And so I'm texting Ramsey, like, I think about coming home, and then he's like messaging me back and saying like, how intense are they? And I was like, I can kind of talk through them, which I've also heard if you can talk through them, then not painful enough, you know? And I was like, I can talk through them, but only if I'm bent over and standing up. That's why I kept standing up and leaning over on my desk, and then like this railing back here was like a godsend. I don't know why that, and going on my toes was. So all these weird positions that were just helping so much. And he's like, call the nurse and see what they say. And I was like, they're just gonna have me come in and say like, oh, come get checked. And he's like, well, call them anyways. And I was like, fine. Hi, I am a doctor's patient, and I think I might be into labor, but I didn't know if I should come in yet, because my contractions are not a minute apart, but they're not a minute long, but they are 45 seconds long, but they are 2 to 3 minutes apart. Okay, got it. Even if they're not at the 1 minute, as long as they're lasting the. Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, all right. Thank you. Bye.
She said come in?
Pretty much.
To the hospital?
Just give me a second. Oh.
She went up to the camera and waved and said hi.
Oh, I wish it was recording. Oh, it was recording that! Yay! You want to say hi to the camera? Hi! Say hi. You're such a ham. So I basically had a contraction that happened towards the end of that phone call, because you know, they were getting very intense and very quick together. And I didn't really explain much on the camera, and I know I totally shut my mom out, which I didn't realize I was so short with her, so sorry, Mom. But basically what she said was if they're consistently 45 seconds long and, you know, 2 to 3 minutes apart, I don't remember where I was about that. I said it in the video, I know that. They said, just come in and let's get checked out. So I text Ramsey that, and by the time I was done texting, he texted me back saying he was on his way home, and I just remember like sitting on the couch like ready to cry of like relief, because I was just like, I don't know, I just felt like, oh, finally we're gonna just go check. It's funny because the whole time I didn't care that he was at work, but I just remember getting the text message he was coming home. It was like a weight lifted, because I think I was stressing like if I was in labor that he wasn't gonna make it in time or something. I don't know what it was. So he says he's on his way home, get everything going. So we have the truck already ready to go. I just had all my luggage back here. So I started loading that in. And hey guys, so I thought I'd get on here and update you while I can. I am having some strong contractions here. We're about 2 to 3 minutes apart, and they're 45, 50 seconds long. Ramsey's actually on his way home from work right now, and then we are going to be heading to the hospital. They're painful, so I'm pretty confident in the fact that it's happening today, and I'm pretty happy about that because, fun fact, it's my grandpa's birthday today, so I would really love that to happen. And to just be able to go in naturally without having to be induced. And as I was moving around and, you know, doing the things, oh, my contractions kicked up a notch. Wow, I remember that they were so painful. Again, I could still like wiggle through them and talk, and then they'd go away and I could do whatever, you know, it was fine. So I got it all loaded up, he got home, he grabbed a couple of things that he wanted last minute, and we quickly said goodbye to Briley. Again, my mom was here, and we were on our way. And I so badly wanted to record it, but guys, those contractions were getting so intense. Ramsey's driving, I'm not gonna have him record it. I don't even know, I knew I had the camera, but I didn't know where it was in the truck when we got in there. I don't know, but the whole time, if I had a contraction, I was bent over forward, kind of in half, which you guys saw in a lot of the videos, and sitting in a car, you guys, was the most painful experience. I had to take my seatbelt off and like flip around at one point. Ramsey's like, what are you doing? He thought I was like giving birth in his truck, which I guess could have happened. It happens to some people, right? So we're going and we're driving, and if you guys have ever been to Idaho, or if you live in Idaho, you know there is construction everywhere all the time. So the main road to take down to get to the hospital was closed. Well, it was partially open, so we were stuck in traffic. We go to a complete stop, and so Ramsey's like turning off the roads, and thankfully we knew this like back road area that he was able to go, and I'm like, we looked like such idiots, but he's like, crap, do I go around? And I'm like, yeah, you go around, I need to get there. And so, oh my gosh, my brain, I don't know what I was thinking, you guys. Okay, so we get to the hospital. Sorry, I was gonna go off on a tangent, but we'll get to there later. So we get to the hospital, we finally get to the hospital, and I say, park out here, I can walk in still, I'll just, between contractions, you know, take my time. I walk in through the emergency exit, you guys. I don't know why I couldn't go in through the main entrance where labor and delivery is. So I walked, labor and delivery is here, I walked all the way around, up, and then in. We parked right here. All I had to do was do that. I don't get it, guys. I don't know what my mind was thinking that day. So we park, and I say, babe, let the lady up front know I'm, you know, going into labor. I'm having severe contractions, so they can have the elevator ready. So when I get in there and all that things, and I was like, just go, walk without me. I'm so slow, because I wanted it ready. And he's like, okay, babe, no problem. So he goes and tells the lady. The second he left, I had what was at that time the worst contraction yet, and I almost collapsed into the street and thought, I'm gonna give birth alone here, and I screamed out for him, but he didn't hear me. Excuse me, go lay down. So I yelled out for him to come back to me, and he didn't hear me, but it was fine because I didn't yell it that loud because I didn't want it to be like, everyone rushed to the pregnant girl. A car was coming by and I was like in the middle of the road, and I'm sure they were like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So I was a little embarrassed by that one. But anyways, I made it to the elevator. The lady was like, oh, you're the wife. Okay, let me push the button now. So I'm like standing in the lobby. Here comes another contraction. They were like quick at that point. I was like, okay, thanks. And so like we go and we get in the elevator. Finally, we go upstairs, get out of the elevator, and all of a sudden I start having another contraction. So I'm sitting there like about a minute apart at this point. Like they were, and they were lasting a lot longer. And so Ramsey's standing behind me and he's like, babe, do you need anything? And I was like, no. And then all of a sudden I turned around and he's gone. But there was a bathroom right behind us. So I was like, I think he just went to the bathroom. So like, good job doing that. So during a contraction, because when I'm having a contraction, I hate being touched. Like, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, massage the back, it feels really good. Like, no, don't touch me. He knows that from Briley. So he was totally fine by going on there. And I remember when I was bent over too before he went to the bathroom, like I saw him try and grab my camera. He doesn't know how I vlog and all that. So I saw him turn it on and like try to figure it out because he knew so badly I wanted to record this and he couldn't do it. So it's fine. We're in the moment. All I wanted was to know my baby was healthy and get to the doctors. So again, because we walked all the way around, we had this long walk over this way. So we finally make it over there. I had a lady stop and ask if I needed help in the middle of it because Ramsey was in the bathroom and I'm like going through a contraction alone, and she's like, can I do anything? And I was like, no, I just need to get there. And she's like, okay. And she worked at the hospital, so I'm sure she was like, okay. She kind of just like walked behind us like the whole way there just to make sure I got there okay. So we go to check in. And I pre-registered, you guys, for the hospital, and we go and check in. I even called to do it. Like, I could do it online, and I called. And the lady is like, okay, what's your social? And I like told her. And so she's like typing it in. She's like, we don't see you in the system. And I'm like, I had some choice where I didn't say anything, but like in my head, I'm like, okay, I just want to get into the hospital. Give me a room, please. And I was like, okay. And Ramsey's like, are you sure that was it? And I was like, I know my social, like the back of my hand, guys. Like, yes, I'm sure that's it. I've also pre-registered. And she's like, okay, can I just see your ID? And I was like, of course. So I'm like, middle of contraction at this point, and like they're getting so intense, I'm starting to like moan through them now. And so I'm like, here. And I'm like breathing, and the lady's like super flustered, and she's trying to ask this other nurse for like help, and the nurse is like in the middle of doing something else, so she is trying to not help her, and because she's doing something for another patient, which I get and I totally understand. And I was being very patient because I used to work in healthcare, nothing that intense by any means, but I understand like some things are just out of your control. So the lady's like getting so flustered at this point, and I feel so bad for her, honestly. And so she's like trying to put me in and everything, and then all of a sudden like I get another one of those painful contractions, and I'm like, ah! And so the nurse from inside the like triage area heard me, and she came out and she's like, we're going in, we'll check you in later. And I was like, okay. And then she's like, the only thing we need to do is get your weight before. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, you can bend over if you need. And I was like, okay. And I stand on there. And so I'm like, oh, ready to walk into triage where they check you. And she's like, no, you're going straight into a room. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, you're about to have this baby. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, you're about to have the baby. And I was like, okay. And so I look at Ramsey, and Ramsey looks at me, and we're both just like bug-eyed, and we're like, okay. And so we get into the room, and I was like, I want the epidural. And they're like, okay, well, we'll do our best. And so we get in there, and like at this point, like I'm sweating. Like as you saw in the video, I had a sweatshirt on and leggings. So, you know, of course, if you've given birth, you know, they just strip you down and you're like butt naked at this point. And so they're trying to get my vitals. They're trying to find my vein to get an IV in me. Like they're trying all the things, and I'm just like laying there like, like I just want to bend over. I got about 10 nurses in there at the moment. They're all saying she's about to have a baby. Like everyone is just like rushing. And I'm just laying there. Ramsey's like the whole time with the cheesiest grin on his face. He loved it. And the nurse finally checked me. She's like, okay, you're 6 centimeters dilated. And Ramsey's like, good job, babe. I swore I was only 3. So they're still trying to get me done. Finally, like 30 to 45 minutes later, the doctor on call comes in and she says, hi, your doctor, who's in the same building as the hospital, is actually in an emergency C-section right now and she's not gonna be able to make it, which is fine. I'm not someone who has to have my doctor there. I just want a doctor there who will listen to me, and if I have any concerns or don't wanna do something, they'll listen. That's really all I care about. So she's like, so I'm gonna be your doctor today. I'm like, hi, thank you, like, cool, okay, cool, let's do this, you know? And so she's like, we're gonna check you again, and they had just checked me 30 minutes ago, so they checked me and they're like, okay, you're at an 8. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, you're at an 8. And I was like, okay. And she's like, so we have a couple of options. And I was like, all right. And they're like, well, we can try and get the IV in you and get you the epidural like you wanted. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's what I want. And she goes, okay. And then she like hesitates a little, and then she goes, or I can break your water and you can have this baby in the next 10 to 20 minutes. And I said, and Ramsey's like, do it. And I was like, babe, like, I don't know, like when I was pregnant with Briley, all I was aiming for was a natural birth, and I just wanted to see, you know, that doesn't mean I'm gonna do it with every baby. I just kind of wanted to see what it's like. You just never know, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I loved the feeling after getting the epidural of just enjoying the process. So that's why I so badly wanted another one. And so I looked at Ramsey and he's like, babe, he's like 10 to 20 minutes and he's here and you get to snuggle him. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like sitting there and I was like, all right guys, what are the odds of me getting an epidural? And I feel like the time stopped at that moment. Everyone in the room turned and said, not likely. And I was like, well, I appreciate the attempt. Let's do this. And they're like, all right. And so the doctor's like, okay, I'm about to break the water and you're gonna have one of the worst contractions you've had yet. And I'm thinking, worse than in the parking lot or when I first got here? And I'm like, okay. And so sure enough, doctor pops the water and oh, that contraction was intense. I was like a scene out of a movie with, I honestly haven't even seen this movie, like, where they do like an exorcism or whatever. I can just picture how it was. I was nuts, guys. I was flailing. They couldn't keep me still. They couldn't keep the heart rate on my belly because I was moving around so much. And then at that point, it was the worst contraction ever. Like literally contractions after that weren't even that bad. A couple minutes after she broke my water, that she lets me know, either the doctor or the nurse, I think it was the nurse. I had a great nurse. She was awesome. She was like yelling in my face to like get me to listen. It was the best. She said, hey, I just want to let you know we had to get the neonatal intensive care unit in here. And so the thing I do love about my hospital is that the neonatal unit is in the same room as the mom unit. So the baby will never leave your side unless it's a more emergency situation. Like, you know, if they can't fix it there, they will take your baby to the neonatal intensive care unit. But for the most part, they are set up to handle most issues in the room with the mom. So they're like, hey, I'm just letting you know, like we had to call a neonatal in here when your water broke. We saw some meconium in the fluid when we broke your water, and so we just have to have his lungs checked when he's here. And I said, okay, I understand. And then I think about like 5 minutes after being told that, they checked me again and they're like, you're at 9.5. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Also, things were getting so intense and like the contractions, they were like pinning me down, guys. I was flailing. I was literally like, Ramsey's knuckles were white, holding me down on this side. I've got my nurse on this side, like yelling in my ears so that I would listen. I was nuts. Like, I needed it. So props to them. I'm like talking like my nurses right here. Props to the nurses because like I needed that. So yeah, she checked me, which at this point it was about 10 minutes after, and I was like 9.5 centimeters dilated. So they turned me on my side to try and get, it was just like I was my right side. I remember that. They were just turning me on my side to try and get that side more dilated so that I could be ready to push. After that contraction, they laid me back on my back and they said, you're still just at 9.5, but if you get the urge to push, push. I actually never really got the urge to push, you guys. I just kind of was like ready for him to be out. Like I fully expected, like, sorry, TMI. You know, you have to go number 2 and you like get the urge to push the number 2 out. That's how I thought the urge was gonna be, but I never really got that urge. So I just started pushing because I was like, I'm really over those contractions and I just want the baby out. And so I just started pushing and they never told me to stop. She was watching the baby the whole time. And then I don't even remember how many pushes, guys. I honestly only remember 3. There was probably more, but I remember 1 push, see the head, 1 push, head is out, 1 push, body's out. And he was here. And guys, it didn't really hurt that bad. It did, don't get me wrong, but like looking back, I'm like, what hurt was the contractions, not him coming out. And it burned, but it wasn't like that bad. I don't know. I just was like, I was just on such a happy adrenaline high after that. Like, wow, it was the most magical thing ever. And you know, it's not for everyone. I couldn't do it with Briley. If you're getting induced and you do it, like, props. And so yeah, little baby boy was there. I checked into the hospital at like 12:22, and by 2:22, Brayden was born, and he was here, and it was the most perfect thing ever. Again, I wish I got some on video for you guys, and I didn't, and I'm so sorry, but I was living in the moment, and I was seriously just like staring at him. They did take him right away, and I made Ramsey go follow him. Again, he was like 10 feet from me, so I got to watch it all, and checked his lungs, and everything was good and fine, which I was so happy with. Thankfully, I didn't tear at all. I don't know how. I don't know what I was doing to make that happen. So I was very thankful for that. They tried to offer me some pain meds after, but I was really more just like scared of the pain. Like, you know how you can have contractions after. Like, I was more scared of the contractions after, not the actual feeling of it. Like, you know, they come and push on your stomach, like I would tense up so much, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm just scared that it's gonna hurt. So I'm like, my body's like, no. The nurses were so awesome, and I was like apologizing, like, I'm sorry, I was so psycho, and they're like, you're fine, you did great. And they're like, I had like 4 different nurses ask me like, did you plan that? And I was like, plan what? Like, to have a natural? And I was like, no. And I was like, I wanted an epidural. And they're like, really? And they're like, did you plan to stay at home till the absolute last minute? And I was like, no, again. I remember the contractions that I had with Briley and the contractions I was having here at home did not compare. Briley's seemed so much more intense, but I don't know why at the time I didn't think about it. I was induced with Briley, so I've heard those contractions are so much stronger than like when you go in naturally into labor. So yeah, that's why I was so confused about like when to go in. Also guys, I never once ever thought or remembered, because I knew this, and I like looking back totally understood this. I never once thought, it's your second child. They can come quicker than your first child. I guess I didn't really have much to go off because again, I was induced with Briley, so I didn't really have much to go off time-wise how long active labor was with Briley, because it was like an overnight deal. She was like 24 hours from the moment I was inducted into, or no, she was like 23 hours from the moment I checked into the hospital and had my first medication to when she came. So that's why I wasn't like rushing to get to the hospital sooner or anything like that. But you know what, you guys, it was amazing. If you want to have a natural, no medicated labor and delivery, my tip is to labor at home as long as you can and walk around a lot, because I did a lot of walking, and that's what really kicked things up. I think I could have had him a lot earlier in the morning if I wasn't laying on the couch and just relaxing up until the labor. But yeah, it was amazing, you guys. I am not gonna lie, I would totally do it again. I would have natural, if things progressed that, if it's hard because every pregnancy is different, but if I knew things were gonna happen that quickly, like I could totally do it again, because I know there's an end result. Whereas with Briley, like I was stuck at 5 centimeters for like hours, I felt like, and I was like, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm still so in pain. Like, I can handle the pain if there's progression with it, you know, like even if it's slow progression. But it was amazing. It was awesome. I highly recommend it if you want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, I highly recommend an epidural, because honestly, I remember it being, I was so cold with Briley because I had got my socks wet and I ran out of socks and my toes were so cold. And I remember getting the epidural, and the first thing that happened, my toes warmed up so much and it felt amazing. So I highly recommend them both. With an epidural, I would say I got to enjoy, I don't know, because I really enjoyed Brayden's labor too. It was like a slower process with Briley, so I remembered every moment of it. I will say Ramsey loved Brayden's labor more because he loved the excitement and the quickness and the hurry up, it's happening-ness of it all. Whereas Briley, it was a lot of like sitting and waiting, which is not Ramsey's forte, which I can do that, I don't mind. But yeah, it was awesome, you guys. If you have any questions, like feel free to leave them below. I'll answer any that I can. I'm sorry if I jumped around because again, I didn't write out my like key points that I wanted to follow. I just wanted to like casually sit down and chit chat with you guys. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed my story. Looking back, I love it. I love that little boy so much. The bond between a mom and her son is just amazing. He's a little angel baby and we are so happy and blessed to have him in our lives. Briley loves her baby brother, so stay tuned because the next video is her meeting her baby brother and him meeting his big sister. And it's the cutest ever. It's probably gonna be super short, but I don't care. It's my memory and I can't wait to show all of you guys. It's adorable. But again, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel. And don't forget to hit that red subscribe button so that you don't miss at least the next video because it's a cute one and many more videos. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Bye, guys.